Hello and welcome to lesson 3 of week 4. In this lesson, we are going to look at the CSS background properties. In CSS, we can change the background of a page or an element on a page. I have created a page and I'm going to focus today's lesson on the container on the page and on the body element on the page. When you want to change the background color of a page from the default white color, we use the background color property and we specify the color value as we have learned in week 2. So you research the color value or you use a standard color name and you specify that as the value of the background color property. And when I refresh my page, I have this background of the entire page in the color that I have specified. If I want to style the container on the page and I want that container to be visible, I can put a different color. Let's say I want the container to be white. And when I save and I refresh, I will get a background of white around the text. And because I have not set the height and the width for this container, I can't have a whole container with a text in it. So I'm going to set the height to be 300 pixels. I'm going to use a responsive width. So I'll use a max width of auto. I'm going to set the margin of this to be auto also. And I'm going to pad the content with a padding of, let's say, 30 pixels. When I save and I refresh, I have a container on the page. But the page looks a little boring. We can keep adding the styles that we learned in the previous lesson. We can add a border to this. And I want the border to be, let's say, groove. I want it to be 2px. I want it to be groove. And I want it to be, let's use red. Save, refresh. We have a red border. It still looks a little boring. And I want to give it an outline. And I want the outline to be black, or let's say gray. So I want it to be 3 pixels dashed 3 pixels gray. And then I'll make it stand out. Refresh my page. I have an outline. There is another property called the border radius that I can use to give it a rounded corner effect. So I can put a border radius of, let's say, 45 pixels on the top left and the bottom right corner. And I'll put 25px on the bottom left and the top right corner. And then I will save, refresh, and I have rounded corner. So you can design your page any way you want, put different graphics based on the design specification that you get from your customer and or based on what you want to design. So this is how we use colors to design background of pages. So I'm going to take out these designs and we're going to try to use an image as the background of the page. So when we are trying to change the background of a page, we apply the background to the body element. So we have the background image property that we use. We specify the image like this. And in my images folder, I have an image called background1.jpg. Always remember your file extension and your file referencing. When I save and refresh, I have an image as the background of this page. But then the problem I have with this is the image starts here and ends here, and it repeats itself until it fills the page. This might not be the effect we want. And so we have a property called the background repeats property. and we can specify a value of no repeat, save, refresh, and the image no longer repeats itself. Now take note, in this lesson and going forward, I'm going to be selecting a value to use to create an effect. What I want you to do after the lesson is to research all of the values of that particular property and try them out to create a different kind of design, and the practice is going to help you master what kind of design you want. The image is on the left of the screen, starts at the top left and stretches until the size of the image, but it doesn't look good as a background. We might want to say we want the size that way, and we want to put the background position property, and we specify center to center the image on the screen, but still it doesn't look good as the background image. We might want to change this to have something like the background size. If we put contain, we are not going to see any major effects. We're just going to see the size of the image as much as is visible on the screen. But if we want it to stretch to be a background cover that covers the entire screen, we use cover as a value of the background size. And this might be the effect we would like. There are several other background properties. I want you to research them and try them out. So we have a background shorthand property that we can use to specify everything we want in one declaration. So let's say I want to change the background image to background 2. So I'm going to put URL background2.jpg. I don't want the image to repeat, so I put a value of no repeat. I also want the image to be centered on the page. So I just specify a list of values for some of the background properties. I'm going to refresh my page to see a new image which is not displaying, and it might be because of my file referencing. I did not specify that it is in the images folder. And so I'll refresh again, and I have that image here. So this is where we end this lesson. Research the other background properties, try them out and see how you can apply the different background properties to create designs that you would love on your page. In the next lesson, we are going to look at images in HTML and CSS.